Hi, I'm Don Boeke. I'm in Dayton, Ohio. I'm run a business for 40 plus years now called the Egyptian Custom Body. And this is our last venture, our last most recent completed hot rod or custom car. It's a number of years project that I started back in 1961 when I got discharged from the Navy. I bought this car with my checkout money, and my savings allowed for a nice deposit. And this was my daily driver for many years. I drove to California. I lived in California. It was a mild custom, a de-chromed, and had some mild changes to it, including lowering and wheels and tires and the general bolt-on combinations. Probably about 66 or 7, when I first started business, this car took a spring brake, put it away because I had to get business in order and try and figure out how to make a living doing this. It sat there for probably 10 or 15 years because there's additional brakes caused by getting married, having a couple kids, running a business, and after a number of years, my kid's mother left, and I'm burdened with a couple children to raise, a boy and a girl, and my time and energy and money went to tuition and raising kids and clothing and the whole family deal. It's probably my proudest achievement. They're grown and gone now and doing well. So now that all that's behind, marriage, divorce, rearing children, I was able to dig this out and start it on again. And it's been through maybe 3 different changes before I was happy. And we finally were able to focus with my key tech, Nick Chappelle. We kind of focused on this seriously for about 10 months. And this is it. It's the first time out, actually. In the last couple of months, we just finishing up doing some electrical work. And this is it. This is Ramses II. And we're really happy with it. A lot of expense, a lot of problems, a lot of situations we had to figure out and engineer as far as the top and the electric doors and the hydraulics and the suspension. We started with this car with a bare frame sitting on the floor, and we built the suspension and the motor and that around it. And finally got to the body part of it and making the changes. I had some drawings, we did some illustrations, and that was my map. That was the direction I was heading anyway, with some changes on the way. My friend Ed Newton was a big inspiration and help in doing some of these designs. And the top itself was it was a real venture. So there's a guy I met in California, other than Larry Watson and Steve Tansey and some other Barris, and of course Balon and some of the other important early historic car builders. Jeffries was a longtime fan and I admired. And there's a guy by the name of Ron Aguirre who never got any recognition, but he was kind of my mentor. He was the first guy ever to build a car with hydraulics, who could change suspension levels. He was the first guy ever to have a bubble top on a car, and that was in 1958. He had a brand new 56 Corvette, made wonderful changes on it, and he's been in focus of my inspiration my whole life. Ron Aguirre, if you have time, you should look at it. He's on YouTube, and there's a nice story on a car he built called the Exonic. So I want to put that in because He was way before Starbird and Barris and Bailon and all the rest of the guys most people give tribute to. So the Bubbletop was part of the Ronagori story because he did it, and I always liked it. I had built a Bubbletop for this car maybe back in 65 or 67. It wasn't a real success, but it was a learning curve, and we've done probably 5 or 7 cars since then. But we made a model of this top that we wanted, which is in layman's terms called a buck. From the buck, we made a model, and then we made a mold, and from the mold we made the part. Once the part's done, then you have to figure out how you're going to secure it and make it function, and it's a difficult job, and it's expensive. These kind of jobs they're not good money makers for if you're in the business of body repair. So that's a deal. That's a car. We've had a lot of good conversations about it. People come from some pretty good distances, including as far away as Detroit and Arizona. So we're real happy with it. So far, so good, with very few problems. So some of the features of this car are the front end is unique to 61, 62 Corvettes. Most people won't know the difference other than Corvette owners. But the modifications are obvious when you look at the headlights. There's no trim rings. The headlights are different. The whole front is different. This is center bar is made out of a Mustang front bumper. These ends are made out of a Corvette 63 ends. It's a total asymmetric car. If you notice, everything is in a symmetry from standard designs, like engineers think if you put something here, you gotta put something here. So this is totally asymmetric, and as you look at the videos, you'll see that we concentrated on it being stylized and not commemorized like a lot of cars. So the paint is pretty much hand mixed. We have our own base system, and we go by codes. People ask what the color, and we've named it Velveeta, just Velveeta Pearl, because it's easier, and that's what they want to hear. What color is it? It's powered by original 283 that I had when I bought it, with 2 4-barrels on it. It's a blueprinted, fresh, balanced motor. I've had a number of motors in it through the years, some fuel injection, 64, 65, and even an attempt at a big block. But I like these, and I like carburetors. I'm not a fuel injection guy. The longer they sit, the harder they are to work on. I can work on carburetors. So that's the power. The wheels and tires are not one-offs, but they're made to this car. They're made for this car. The chassis was built on the ground, and we gradually put the suspension and the body on it and build it around that. So it's actually, when it's parked and you lay all, and you air out all the suspension, the frame actually does sit on the ground, and it'll flatten a beer can now. So those are the features. The bubbles, the back is all handmade. The grill is handmade. The vents on the side are different, and it's all stainless cloth backing, proportioned to the sides of the area and the opening. That's pretty much it. It's a basic car. The rest are pretty obvious as far as the features on it. I never wanted this car to not look like a Corvette. I wanted it to look like Challenger did, and Mustang and Camaro, where when you look at the new ones, they still look like a Camaro. They're not. It's not a whole new design. This will always look like a Corvette, and that was my main focus in trying to keep that similarity in the way it was built. Subsequent to all this, you know, I owe a lot of props to my lead tech, Nick Chappelle, who's been here about 15 years. He's a transplant from New Hampshire, and we work good together. And he's a young blood compared to me, and he kept pushing me, and that's the final result, and that's why I finally got finished. So yeah, plenty of props to him, and some help I had along the way, just as far as engineering and design, and even fabrication of machine parts, the motor, the top, and that kind of stuff. So here it is done. For me, the most fun is building a car, the design and the building. I'm not much of a profiler. I don't park it and sit in a lawn chair and tell everybody how wonderful I am and I build it and how fast it'll go and all that dumb stuff. I'm happy just having it done. I'm on to the next project. It's already in place, and we'll start on it probably in the coming weeks. And truthfully, the most fun isn't driving or going low and slow and profiling. I just like building them.